Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here for the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your Planning Outlook video on Friday the 15th of March. Now, it's been a wild week on the mountains, and in some cases a tragic one. It's a reminder that conditions can be very severe on the mountains, and really want to keep up to date with not just the weather forecast but also the ground conditions as well. And for the Highlands, the Scottish Avalanche Information Service is the place to go for that. Now, conditions are changing as we go into the week ahead. A southwesterly pattern will become established, so things will become milder and something of a thaw will get in. Still the risk of gales, though, quite frequently into the Highlands. Some hint, though, of higher pressure and quieter weather as we head a bit towards the later stages of March. Conditions are looking pretty severe again through this weekend. A low pressure system will pass across the British Isles through Saturday. The northern side of that has cold air tucked around it, and the southern side has gales, milder air and lots of rain. Now, these are the 850 millibar temperatures. That's between 4,000 and 5,000 feet, 1,200 to 1,500 metres in the atmosphere through this week ahead. The level will rise as pressure and temperature rises as the week goes on. So for Saturday, we've got the milder air across England and Wales, the colder air across Scotland. That will tuck in behind a cold front through Saturday night into Sunday, giving a cold day on the mountains across the country through into Sunday, with temperatures below freezing from, say, 500-600 metres upwards. And that freezing level will tend to lift as the day goes on. A widespread frost will develop overnight into Monday. A cold air mass is in place, so it's another cold and wintry one across the mountains, although conditions will have eased by this stage. And then gradually a lift of that freezing level from the west through Monday, but that process will continue onwards into the middle of the week, and temperatures will lift above freezing, even on the highest tops, I would have thought, as we head towards midweek. A gradual thaw will set in. Temperatures 2 or 3 degrees or maybe a bit higher above freezing on the highest tops in Scotland. And that story more or less continuing for the rest of the week. It might be that we just nudge towards freezing point on the highest Scottish tops, but not looking as cold generally as we've seen just in recent times. Let's look through the synoptic charts in a bit more detail for the next few days. This for Saturday, first of all, we've got that broad frontal system moving through, low pressure passing northeastwards, and we've mentioned the cold air that's on the northern side of that, the scope for some substantial snowfalls across the Highlands, the southern side of the Highlands particularly, even the southern uplands for a period, although here a complex freezing level may just lift a bit during the day. More likely the milder air gets in further across England and Wales, and it's a story of rain here. Severe gales, though, in a stable southwesterly will be 60-70 miles per hour or more, with some very powerful gusts over higher ridges and through passes. The colder air then tucks in again, as I mentioned, behind that cold front as that swings eastwards later in the day. Just to show you the rainfall sequence through Saturday and its concerns for some significant flooding across Wales and perhaps parts of the lakes and Pennines through Saturday. Almost relentless rain, heavy for many hours, clocking up totals most likely in excess of 100 millimetres across Snowdonia, and something like 50 to 75 mil or a bit more even across the western Yorkshire Dales and southwestern fells of the Lake District. Only by around, well, Saturday evening does that frontal system finally pull away. It's a cold pattern that's in charge, though, into Sunday. The wind west by northwesterly for England and Wales, a bit more north to northwesterly for the Highlands. Areas of showers, some snow, some hail, rain really only at the lowest levels through the day. Some frequent zones of snow and hail, northern Scotland in the line for that northerly wind, and areas of showers off the Irish Sea feeding into the lakes, Pennines and Snowdonia. Some of the heavy showers then have the chance of a rumble of thunder. Best favoured spots maybe the southern Highlands and the borders, just for being more sheltered, but as a front passes through, even here there could be a few zones of showers. Winds will vary, there may just be some lulls for a time, but expect them to strengthen to gale or even gusting severe gale force, particularly around squally showers. So we get the weekend out of the way, and a bit like this past week, Monday looks a much better day as a ridge of high pressure builds in. We've got fronts starting to encroach from the Atlantic, although these are fairly weak. They may just start to bring the risk of some snow encroaching into the Western Highlands before the end of the day. Otherwise, after a chilly start with frost in the valleys and the glens, it will be a bright day with a good amount of sunshine and generally dry, with winds dropping lighter. Changes, though, are afoot by the time we go through into Tuesday as the milder southwesterly airflow starts to get in. Fronts are passing essentially to the north of Scotland, but dragging in a milder and damp air mass across most regions. A small feature may just intensify some of the precipitation across Western Hills as that drifts in through the day. So a murky one, low cloud, rain and drizzle, and the risk of winds still up to gale force, particularly across the Highlands. Into midweek then, and trailing fronts running across northern Scotland with rain or drizzle quite persistent across the western coastal hills, least in the way of rainfall further east you go, and dribs and drabs around across the western coasts of the lakes and Snowdonia, but not coming to a great deal. Lots of low cloud though, with that damp southwesterly in place, so a murky picture, and still breezy. That southwesterly in a stable atmosphere will give gustiness through passes, through cols, and quite a marked increase of wind speed with height, may still be up to gale force in places. So it's a tropical maritime air mass that we'll see through the middle of the week, the air originating from the mid-Atlantic. It's a southwesterly fetch that is in charge, and high pressure is towards the south, which is trying to build across England and Wales, so keeping things relatively quieter here. The wind's strongest across Scotland for most of the week, where across the mountains still up to gale force. And we need to watch what this little feature does in the later part of the week towards, say, Thursday, Friday. That could just strengthen those winds further across the Highlands and the risk of another period of severe gales for a time. The centre of the low, though, is likely to pass away to the north of Scotland. There may be some persistent rain for a time on trailing fronts for the northwest Highlands, but the worst of the system should generally avoid the British Isles. And it's then the indication of higher pressure starting to take hold a bit more as we head towards next weekend and beyond, pushing the jet stream and associated weather systems further away towards the north of us. And just the chance then for things to quieten down more broadly, with lighter winds and more benign conditions taking hold. Fairly mild, some frost overnight, some mild temperatures by day. A bit of a different story to the active conditions we've seen just recently. So some gradual changes developing, but in the short term still be aware of some very wintry conditions on the mountains through this weekend and just beyond. Stay up to date with us then every day on the Mountain Weather website, and we'll have the video updated for you again on Tuesday. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.